The year was 1932. Herbert Hoover was President of the United States, and the Great Depression was in full swing. St. Mary's in Stuart, a new Episcopal church plant, was just transitioning from meeting upstairs in the Hancock House at 300 Atlanta Avenue to dedicating their new location southeast of the railroad tracks in downtown Stuart in January 1932. 2 years later, a very young Patricia Hancock would be baptized there.
Happy birthday, St. Mary's. I started going to this church when I was a little girl. My grandmother took me. We lived just down the street, and it was just quick and easy. The church was on 3rd Street, and our house was on 3rd Street. So it was just walk across the highway and go down 1 block, so it wasn't any big deal going to church. You just walked. Yeah. It's an old church in Stuart anyway, and this was where it came to from 3rd Street. I can remember my grandmother wanting to know when they were going to move the church. How was she going to get to church? Because she was used to walking down the street. And I said, well, we'll just get you there somehow. I was old enough to have a bicycle, and I was going to put my grandmother on the back seat of the bicycle. And that settled that for a while. She had to think about that one. We didn't ever have to put her on the back seat of the bicycle.
90 years old, that's pretty good. Well, that's about 2 years older than me. Well, I wish I could be there because I relate back to St. Mary's so much, because so much has happened to me there. When I was there with the cross. There are pictures of me with the cross there attending the laying of the cornerstone. Well, in September 3rd, 1955, I married my sweetheart. We were still students at the University of Florida. Still had 2 more years to go. We were madly in love. So Nancy gave up the sorority life as I gave up the fraternity life to be husband and wife. When we were both in the 9th grade, she was the new gal in town from Illinois, and I kept trying to get Nancy's attention at the school, and I never did. But when I went to the little building downtown, which was our church at that time, I stumbled into church. I must have fallen over a pew. I made some kind of noise, and Nancy and her mother were sitting up ahead of me on the left-hand side of the aisle. They both looked back, and Nancy smiled, and I thought, I got her. And I did get her. But the church that really stands out with me is St. Mary. And, it was big time. And Nancy and I, after we were married there, whenever we went down to visit her mother and father, we would always go to the church on Sunday. And so it's... the church has meant a lot to me.
Dale Hudson recalls his father, Dennis Hudson Sr., laid the cornerstone in 1949 for our current chapel at St. Mary's.
My dad was senior warden at the time, and when the church was designed and everything. And there were pictures which you'll see in the display at the dinner this Saturday of him laying the cornerstone right here. Of course, years later, when we had to expand the narthex of the church to get more pews in there, we had to take it out naturally. And of course, when we took it out, we noticed a small copper, like a tin can, but it was a copper can with our time capsule information in there. And that contained mainly some wet, soggy papers, which was our Bible, and news, and I think the parish list, a few coins and things which did survive. So we didn't get much out of it. But we did, when we put the narthex was finished, we reinstall a cornerstone, and I was there laying it in with the contractor, Carl Pauly, and Father Mike Smith. We had the copper box sealed in plastic to hopefully keep the water out for the next time you open up, probably another 100 years.
Dale Hudson is also the director for Mary's Kitchen Ministry at St. Mary's.
We started working on that in 1994, just about this time of the year. As you know, Barbie Hendry talked to Father Pittenger and got permission to do this. And a bunch of volunteers signed up, and we went around to all the other soup kitchens around to see how they did things. So it took us, about 6-7 months before we got really ready to serve our first meal, which was done, I think, in November of that year. And that was 1994. So we're starting right now, 29th year of the Mary's Kitchen.
The Norris family has been a part of St. Mary's since 1961.
Relocated to Indiantown in January of 1961. And that's where my life in Martin County started. And I started coming to St. Mary's.
Now, what happened in 1964?
Let's see, I think it was on August the 8th. But we joined hands, we're married at St. Mary's.
And we were the first ones to be married by Father Smith.
Last year, 2 of the Norris grandchildren went on the St. Mary's mission trip to Ecuador.
Well, they were totally fascinated by it and just loved it. I mean, just in every respect. It was really a wonderful trip for them and an experience that they'll remember all their lives. It's just wonderful to have everybody here together. We're very fortunate in that regard. We have a very, very large family right here in Martin County, and it's very, very nice.
Today, in 2022, the campus of St. Mary's Episcopal Church covers 2 city blocks of Southeast Ocean Boulevard in Stuart. The church is once again in transition as we await the recommendations of the St. Mary's Search Committee for a new rector to continue our mission of growing into Jesus and reaching out with love.